Exeggutor is a very interesting Pokemon coming back in the Isle of Armor DLC and could see some usage online in ranked double battles. With its very high special attack stat at 125 and decent bulk with 95 HP, 85 defense, and 75 special defense, it can one-hit KO some common Pokemon that you'd typically see in the VGC meta like Rotom-W when Exeggutor is in its non-Dynamaxed form, Gastrodon, and even Rhyperior, while also taking a respectable number of neutral hits depending on who the opposing Pokemon is. Now obviously this mini analysis is a bit of speculation because I don't know what moveset Exeggutor is going to have in the new DLC. I'm purely going off of the moveset that it was given in Sun and Moon. However, it could be viable under both Trick Room and Sun teams with its Chlorophyll ability. My personal opinion on Exeggutor is that it's probably not going to be used very much in the online ranked double battles and probably not even used at all in VGC formats. Although I hope I'm completely wrong because I think Exeggutor is a pretty interesting Pokemon. So just to list out a few of the common Pokemon that you'll see online in ranked double battles or even Pokemon Showdown that Exeggutor can counter. Some of those Pokemon are Rotom-W, Gastrodon, Milotic, Conkeldurr, Primarina, and even Rhyperior. However, the matchup between Exeggutor and Rhyperior is a little interesting because if your Exeggutor is not Dynamaxed, you're probably going to need Ally Switch or Follow Me support, and the reason for that is because under Trick Room at least, Rhyperior is going to go first, and then if you get hit by Max Rockfall, Exeggutor does not live one Max Rockfall, especially against weakness policy sets. So, however, if your Exeggutor is Dynamaxed, it might be able to take one hit from Max Rockfall. However, you can use Max Overgrowth right afterwards and very likely one-hit KO Rhyperior with Max Overgrowth. Now, the list of Pokemon that Exeggutor is weak to, I think, is actually considerably larger than the list of Pokemon that it's strong against. The list of Pokemon that it's weak to include Dragapult, which you see way too much online and in VGC teams. Mimikyu, Charizard, it's faster than Exeggutor unless you're under the sun. You see a lot of Incineroars online, and Exeggutor can't really do anything against Incineroar. Togekiss, Torkoal. Under Trick Room teams, Torkoal is always going to go first, and Exeggutor is done after one eruption or even one heat wave. It won't do very well against Cinderace. It will not do very well against steel types like Corviknight, Ferrothorn, Bisharp, and some other Pokemon like Braviary and Chandelure. On top of that list of Pokemon that it's weak to, I think, in my opinion, at least the Chlorophyll set of Exeggutor, it's heavily outclassed by the Chlorophyll set of Venusaur, and that's because Venusaur has poison moves that can counter certain fairy types that are very common, like Togekiss, for example. And not only that, it's also faster than Exeggutor. It's a faster sleep powder user, it's a faster sweeper, it's very effective against Togekiss, as I said. And because of that, as I said in the beginning of the video, I don't think Exeggutor is going to be used very often, if at all, in VGC tournaments, unless there are new Pokemon coming out in the Isle of Armor DLC that make common counters like Dragapult even less common, or if you give Exeggutor access to some fairy moves or ground moves like Earth Power, then maybe it'll be used a little bit, but even then, generally, I don't think it's going to be used very often, which I think is a little unfortunate because, as I also said, I think Exeggutor is a pretty unique Pokemon that could be an interesting pick for your team. If you want to build a team with Exeggutor in it once the Isle of Armor DLC comes out, it's not useless by any means. In fact, it's pretty strong in its own right, and it's also pretty useful for its sleep powder usage. In regards to its raw special attack power, Leaf Storm is a very strong special attack move. Combined with its special attack at 125, it will dent a lot of Pokemon. In addition to that, it also has a self-restoring move like Giga Drain. You'll probably want to use Protect somewhere in there in order to stall out certain other opposing team mechanics, but otherwise, it's still a pretty powerful sweeper. In regards to potential team strategies and team compositions in order to make Exeggutor the most effective that it can be, I'm thinking that you'll probably want an Exeggutor with Modest Nature and 252 special attack EVs. That's so that you can maximize your special attack power, but also at the same time, if you give it the Chlorophyll ability under a Drought team, in addition to potentially a Tailwind user like Braviary, Corviknight, or anything else that uses Tailwind, it will likely outspeed certain Pokemon like Charizard and Cinderace, and it would be pretty impactful to have a really fast Sleep Powder. And in addition to that, I think if it were to somehow gain access to a really powerful ground special move like Earth Power, it's pretty much a locked-in safe one-hit KO against Cinderace, and potentially even other fire Pokemon like Torkoal, assuming it's not under Trick Room. But it also has an opposite side to that Chlorophyll gimmick because two things. One, it also learns Trick Room, so Exeggutor could potentially be your Trick Room user, or you could just potentially use it as a main sweeper on your Trick Room team. So there's some interesting gimmicks with Exeggutor. I still don't think it's going to be used too often online in ranked double battles and VGC formats, but I'd love to see any potential Exeggutor users prove me wrong, because Exeggutor is actually one of my favorite grass Pokemon, so I hope to see it online. But overall, in regards to VGC meta, we're probably not going to see it very much. So if you have any interesting insight about the upcoming Exeggutor, feel free to leave comments, or if there's anything I missed regarding Exeggutor's movesets that I might not be aware of, I'd love to hear more about that.